Over the past few months, I've been slowly working through Alexander Solzhenitsyn's masterpiece, known as the Gulag Archipelago. Solzhenitsyn won the Nobel Prize for Literature and was himself a prisoner in the Gulag system under Joseph Stalin's totalitarian reign. I must confess I've been reading this book in secret, making sure that the seminarians have never seen me read it. As you know, I serve at St. John's Seminary. I've been reading it in secret because I was worried what the seminarians might think if they saw me, the vice rector, which is kind of like the vice principal, carrying a book with the word Gulag emblazoned on the cover. Their worst suspicions about me would have been confirmed, so I read it in secret. The reason I read the book was not to learn about the KGB's interrogation techniques, but rather I was told that it was a work of deep spiritual insight. As I began it, I must say, I found it anything but spiritually uplifting. It's a long, long work, hundreds and hundreds of pages, devoted to exposing the terrors and the atrocities of the KGB, the kangaroo courts, and the sprawling prison system under the Soviet Union. There were times when I was reading the book that I was so overwhelmed by the darkness, the sadness, I was tempted to put it down. And I was just reading it, but countless thousands lived in those prison camps and died in those prison camps. I kept plowing through it, though, because so many people had told me that it was worth it and that there was great spiritual insight to be found in its pages. Deep, deep, deep in the book, hundreds of pages in, suddenly there was an eruption of joy and praise. Solzhenitsyn exclaims, "Bless you, Gulag, bless you." He wrote these strange and startling words after recounting his personal transformation from a dyed-in-the-wool, arrogant, communist artillery officer in the Red Army into a man who is stripped of everything: his freedom, his reputation, his family. The Gulag took everything from him, but it was only by being emptied of everything that he thought mattered in life that he, at length, finally discovered what truly matters. He found Christ. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. The only reason Solzhenitsyn was able to say those strange and startling words, blessing the system that took everything from him, was because the words of our gospel are true. He knew the truth of them. He was transformed by the truth of them. He knew he had to become poor, not just in the material sense of the word, but in the deepest spiritual, existential sense of the word, in order to make his heart broad enough, great enough, to welcome the kingdom of heaven. He had to go to prison to learn what freedom was. And for that experience, he thanked God from the bottom of his heart. Make no mistake, the Gulag system was a great and terrible evil. And all of the injustices that we experience, whether great or small, are evils. There's no question about that. Without faith, without Christ, without the Beatitudes, those injustices that we endure are so many reasons to be bitter, angry, resentful. But with faith, with Christ, they are transformed, our sufferings. They do not cease to be evil. They do not cease to be unjust. But through Christ's death and resurrection, a light shines in them. A light shines in the darkness when we are made poor. And if we have faith to see that light and the hope to walk toward it, we find Jesus. We find his kingdom, and we are transformed. In Mary's hymn of praise, known as the Magnificat, that the church prays every evening in its official evening prayers, we are reminded that God casts down the mighty from their thrones and sends the rich away empty. How good it is to fall from our false thrones. How good it is to be emptied of the things that do not really fill us. God allows us to tumble from the false thrones that we make for ourselves, not to grind our faces in the dirt, but to lift us up higher, to lift us up to heaven, where he shares his throne with us, where he shares the kingdom of heaven with you and with me. All of us here have had things taken from us unjustly. Maybe someone has actually stolen something from us. Maybe someone has falsely accused us of something, wounded our reputation, hurt us in some amazingly cruel way. All of us endure injustice. Tonight, we're given a choice. We can either wallow in bitterness at what has been taken from us, be angry in our poverty, or we, in faith, can see the kingdom dawning upon us in our poverty of spirit. And receiving that kingdom and knowing its joy, we can even bless those who have taken things from us and opened up space in our hearts to receive something better, to receive Jesus and his kingdom, and to know the truth of the Beatitudes in the heart, in our lives, from the inside.